March 3rd, 2011, 7:12 a.m., Baton Rouge, Louisiana. A neighbor calls 911. She hasn't seen Percy Duval in 4 days. This is unusual because Percy, age 52, never misses his morning walk. Every day at 6:30 a.m., rain or shine, he walks to the corner café for a black coffee and a croissant. But not this week. Police arrive at 7:28 a.m. The front door is unlocked. They enter. The house is immaculate. Too immaculate. The air smells of lemon polish and bleach. A strange combination. In the living room, a single chair is pulled out from the dining table. A half-empty glass of whiskey sits on the table. Next to it, a folded piece of paper. On the paper, written in neat handwriting, "I'm sorry. I couldn't stop myself. Tell my mother I loved her." Percy Duval is nowhere to be found, but his car is in the garage. His wallet is on the nightstand. His phone is on the kitchen counter. And in the backyard, beneath a freshly poured concrete patio, police dogs are scratching, digging, whining. True crime rule number 1. Understand the victim. Percy Duval was a retired history professor. He taught at Louisiana State University for 27 years. Students described him as kind, patient, and a little boring. He lived alone, he never married, he had no children. His only family was his elderly mother, who lived in a nursing home 60 miles away. He visited her every Sunday. He never missed a visit. Until March 3rd. Percy had no criminal record, no debts, no known enemies. He was, by every measure, a quiet man living a quiet life. But quiet men have secrets, and Percy Duval's secrets were about to destroy everything his neighbors thought they knew about him. When police searched Percy's home office, they found a locked filing cabinet. Inside, 7 leather-bound journals, dated, organized, spanning 12 years. The journals were not about history. They were about something else entirely. Something dark. The first journal entry, dated January 14th, 1999, read, "Today, I met her. She doesn't know it yet, but she will." Percy Duval was not a retired professor. He was something else, and the police were about to find out what. The crime formula says, follow the evidence. And the evidence was in those journals. 7 journals, over 2,000 pages. Every entry described the same thing, a woman. Her name was never written, only initials, M.H. Percy wrote about her for 12 years. Where she worked, where she shopped, what she wore, what she ate, who she dated. He knew everything about her, and she had no idea he existed. The final journal entry was dated February 28, 2011, 3 days before Percy disappeared. It read, "I spoke to her today, for the first time. She smiled at me. She said hello. I told her my name. She told me hers. It's Margaret. Margaret Harris. Now she knows I exist. Now I can't stop." Detectives located Margaret Harris. She was 34 years old, a nurse at a local hospital, married, mother of 2. She had never heard of Percy Duval. When shown his photograph, she shook her head. No recognition. But when asked if a strange man had spoken to her recently, she paused. She remembered. An older man at the grocery store. He asked about the weather. He seemed nervous. She thought nothing of it. That was February 28, the day of Percy's last journal entry. Margaret Harris had no idea she was the subject of a 12-year obsession, and she had no idea that Percy Duval had disappeared 3 days after finally speaking to her. The crime formula requires physical evidence, and the police dogs in Percy's backyard were not wrong. Beneath the freshly poured concrete patio, forensic teams found soil that had been recently disturbed. And beneath the soil, they found something no one expected. Not a body, but something worse. A collection of personal items. Women's jewelry, photographs, hairbrushes, driver's licenses. 7 of them, each belonging to a different woman, each dating back to the 1990s. The items were wrapped in plastic and sealed with duct tape, preserved, organized, labeled. Each label had a name, a date, and a location. The names on the labels were cross-referenced with missing persons databases. 4 of the women had been reported missing between 1999 and 2005. They were never found. 3 of the women were still alive. When contacted, they all remembered Percy Duval. Not as a professor, as a customer at their workplaces. A regular, a familiar face. None of them knew he had been collecting their personal belongings for over a decade. The question detectives could not answer: where were the bodies? And why did Percy Duval keep these items if he was planning to disappear? The crime formula demands we ask, why? Percy Duval was not a killer who acted on impulse. He was methodical, patient. He waited years before speaking to Margaret Harris. He collected items from women without them ever noticing. Psychologists who reviewed the journals described Percy as a collector, not of objects, of people. He didn't want to harm them. He wanted to own them, to know them, to control them from a distance. But something changed on February 28, 2011. When Margaret Harris smiled at him and said hello, the fantasy became real, and Percy could not handle reality. The note Percy left on his dining table said, "I'm sorry, I couldn't stop myself." Stop himself from what? The police had no bodies, no weapons, no crime scene. But they had the journals. And the journals suggested that Percy had crossed a line, that after 12 years of watching, he had finally acted. Margaret Harris was safe. She was at work on March 1st and March 2nd. She had no interaction with Percy after the grocery store. So who did Percy harm? And where were the bodies of the 4 missing women? The answer would come from an unlikely source: Percy's mother. Percy's mother, Eleanor Duval, was 78 years old. She had dementia, but she had moments of clarity. When detectives visited her, she looked at Percy's photograph and began to cry. She said, "I told him to stop. I told him the basement was full, but he wouldn't listen. He never listened." The basement. Police had searched Percy's basement twice. They found nothing. But Eleanor's words made them go back. A 3rd time. This time, they brought ground-penetrating radar. Behind a false wall, hidden beneath layers of drywall and insulation, they found a small room, 8 feet by 10 feet. Concrete floor, no windows. And in that room, a shallow grave. The remains of 4 women were recovered. Each matched the names on Percy's labels. Each had been dead for over a decade. Percy Duval did not kill in a fit of rage. He killed slowly, methodically, and he kept their belongings as trophies. But Percy himself was never found. The note on his table was a confession and a goodbye. 1 month after his disappearance, a fisherman on the Mississippi River found a body. Dental records confirmed Percy Duval. He had drowned himself. He left no explanation, only the journals and the basement. The case of Percy Duval is one of the most disturbing in Louisiana history, not because of the violence, but because of the silence. For 12 years, Percy lived among neighbors who thought he was boring. He taught students who thought he was kind. He visited his mother every Sunday. And all the while, 4 women were buried in his basement. The families of the victims finally have closure, but the questions remain. How many more Percys are out there? How many quiet men living quiet lives are hiding dark secrets behind false walls? And how do we know the difference between a boring neighbor and a monster? Percy Duval took his own life. He never faced a jury. He never apologized. He never explained why. But his journals remain, a window into a mind that none of us want to understand. Percy Duval, 1959 to 2011. He was a professor, a son, and a killer. If you suspect someone is missing, report it. No detail is too small. Call your local police department.